So you're opening this book, and maybe you're thinking, great, another textbook. But hold on. I want you to think of this differently. This is the owner's manual for the most complicated, incredible, and sometimes just plain weird machine on the planet. And you happen to have one. We're talking about your brain. This whole course, it's the story of you.
Okay, let's just jump right into the deep end, shall we? I want you to really think about this question. Seriously, why would almost 2 out of every 3 people just like you and me, follow an order to deliver what they think are deadly electric shocks to a total stranger? Now, this isn't some made up scenario. This is a real result from a real experiment. And yeah, it's pretty shocking. It's uncomfortable, but it gets to the heart of what we're going to explore.
Say, that's what this whole thing is really about. We're not just going to be talking about dusty old theories or strange experiments from decades ago. We are talking about you. It's about figuring out the software that's running in your own head, why you do the things you do, why you feel the way you feel. This isn't just a class, it's a journey into what makes you, well, you.
And here's the cool part. This isn't your parents' textbook. This whole thing is built on a new platform called Notebook LM, which basically gives you learning superpowers. So you're studying late at night and a question pops into your head, you can actually ask the AI chat right then and there. Need to cram for a test? Bam! Instant flashcards, instant quizzes. It's like having a personal AI tutor on call 24/7, ready to help you really get a handle on all this stuff.
All right, so where does a journey like this even begin? Well, we start with the hardware. You gotta understand the machine itself before you can figure out the software, right? So let's talk about that 3-pound chunk of matter between your ears, the brain. Take a look at this. It might look like some weird microscopic tree branch, but this little thing is a neuron. And you have billions of them. Billions. Every single thought you've ever had, every memory, every feeling, your decision to listen to this right now, it's all happening because of these guys firing off signals to each other. This is, quite literally, the stuff you're made of. But here's the thing. That biological blueprint isn't the whole story. It's not destiny. You've probably heard of nature versus nurture, right? Well, this is it. Think of it like this. Your genes might build you a really amazing race car, but if you never learn to drive it, or you only ever drive it in traffic, you'll never know its full potential. Your life is this incredible dance between what you were born with and every experience you've ever had. And this machine, your brain, is unbelievably organized. It's not just a messy blob of tissue. Nope. It has specialized departments for different jobs. Right now, as you're listening to me and understanding these words, it's because a specific spot in your brain is hard at work. If that one little area were damaged, you could still hear sounds, you could still speak, but my words would just be meaningless noise. How wild is that? Okay, so we've peeked at the hardware. Now let's get to the really juicy stuff, the software. I'm talking about how we learn, how we remember. And let's be real, as a student, this is probably the most important stuff you could possibly learn. How to make your own brain work better for you. Most of us think of memory as this one big thing, right? Like a giant filing cabinet in our head where we store everything. But that's totally wrong. It's way more complex and way cooler than that. Your memory is actually a whole system of different storage units, each designed for a different kind of information. So, for example, think about your last birthday party. You can probably remember who was there, what it felt like. That's a story. That's what we call episodic memory. But now think about riding a bike. You don't think about it, right? You just do it. Your body remembers how. That's procedural memory. 2 completely different memory systems living in the same brain. Okay, but here is where things get a little weird. We all trust our memories, don't we? We think of them as these perfect, high-definition video recordings of what happened. But what if they're not? What if your memory is more like an editable document than a video file? What if it can be changed? Check this out. In a famous study, researchers showed people a video of a car crash. The video was identical for everyone, but they asked one group how fast were the cars going when they contacted each other, and another group how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other. And guess what? The smashed group remembered the cars going way faster. Just by changing one single word, the researchers could change someone's memory of what they saw. And this is the why this matters part. This isn't some fun little party trick for psychologists. Think about eyewitness testimony in a courtroom.
It turns out mistaken eyewitness identification is the single biggest reason why innocent people get wrongfully convicted of crimes. Understanding the flaws in our own memory has life or death consequences. Okay, so let's pull the camera back a bit. We've looked at the tiny neurons and the software of memory. Now let's look at the big picture, the entire story of you, from beginning to, well, now. I mean, just stop and think for a second. The person you are right now is so different from the kid you were at 5, or even the teenager you were just a few years ago. You've been on this incredible journey of change, physically, mentally, socially, and developmental psychology is basically the map of that journey. And it turns out, that journey isn't totally random. There are patterns. Thinkers like Erik Erikson came up with these stages that pretty much all of us go through. Each stage has its own big challenge to figure out. As a little kid, it's learning to trust the world. As a teen, it's all about figuring out, who am I? A lot of you right now might be right in that young adulthood stage, trying to figure out how to build close relationships. These frameworks help make sense of our own lives, where we've been, and maybe what's coming next. But that whole personal journey, that's only part of the equation. Because let's face it, we don't live on a deserted island. A huge part of what makes you you is everyone else. And this is where we get into social psychology, which is a fancy way of saying how other people mess with your head. Seriously, it's how the presence of other people, real or even just imagined, totally changes how you think, feel, and act. And maybe the biggest force of all is something we call conformity, the pressure to just go along with the group. Hey, remember that question we started with about the electric shocks? That experiment wasn't about evil people. It was about normal people and the unbelievable power of social pressure to make them do things they'd never do on their own. So after all this, the brain, memory, social pressure, you might be asking, so what? What's the point? Well, the point isn't just to pass an exam. It's to give you a toolkit for understanding yourself, understanding others, and honestly, for living a better, more intentional life. Take a look at this pyramid. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it's a super powerful idea. It's basically a roadmap for human motivation. It says that once we have our basic stuff covered, food, safety, a sense of belonging, we start reaching for more. We want to feel respected, we want to achieve things, and at the very top, we strive to become the absolute best possible version of ourselves. And hey, as you're digging into all these massive ideas, don't forget you've got that AI tutor in your corner. Seriously, use it. If you get stuck, ask the chat. If you need to review, make some flashcards. It's there to make sure you don't just read this stuff, but that you actually get it. At the end of the day, it all kind of boils down to this quote from Socrates: "The unexamined life is not worth living." And that's what psychology gives us. It is the best tool humanity has ever invented to examine our own lives, to understand why we are the way we are. So here you are. At the very beginning of the journey, the owner's manual is officially open. And my question for you is, what's the first thing you want to know? What are you most curious about? Go on, find that topic in the book, and then open up the AI chat and just ask it. Your journey starts right now.